Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the Shuoer S12, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. The Shuoer S12 comes in this little itty bitty box, pretty typical Shuoer unboxing experience, so we're not going to show you the insides. But it has a 14.8 millimeter planar driver, impedance of 16 ohms, sensitivity was unknown, I was unable to locate it, and a frequency response of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Has a 2-pin connection. You can get it either in 3.5 millimeter or 4.4 millimeter. Comes with a silver-plated mono crystalline copper cable, and the materials that make up the shells are aluminum alloy. Costs $170. That's it. All right, specs are done with. Let's get on with the S12. So the S12 comes with some accessories. You're going to get this kind of strange cable. It's not bad, but it's not good. It has this weird texture to it. It's like rubbery, kind of stiff cable. Don't really care for it too much, and it has extremely aggressive ear hooks. I'm not a fan of this cable much at all, so I did replace the cable. More about that here in a moment. You also get a little case that has foam tips inside it. And you also get two other types of tips that come with small, medium, and large. You get these weird gray ones, which are too shallow and really super flimsy. Didn't like those. Then you also get these transparent ones with black stems. These are okay, but they weren't the greatest either. Usable. Didn't really use them. So, what did I use? I used the little carrying case that comes with it. And I used the IEM, obviously. All right, so I did change out cables and tip. I used the Thea Audio Smart cable, which is an extremely nice cable. Has this paracord type of material. It's a little bit on the heavier, thicker side than the stock cable, but that's okay. And it has this little mini XLR connection. You can get it in 4.4, 3.5, or 2.5, and when you purchase the cable, it comes with all three of those adapters. Link down below for this cable. Highly recommend it, not just for the S12, but for other IEMs as well. All right, so the IEMs themselves, they are fairly small shape, somewhat on the heavy side, have somewhat of a smooth back, a little bit of a wing, good nice angle on the nozzle, but it's extremely short. And that was the problem with the stock tips and the stock cable. So the stock tips were just too small for my ears. I just could not get them to insert far enough to hold the IEM in place. And then that cable was just so aggressive that when they were in my ears, that stock cable was constantly wanting to pull the IEM out of my ear. It was just being so aggressive. Your experience may be different, but I just could not get a good seal, and also they just weren't comfortable for me. With the Thea Audio Smart cable, I can put the Shuoers in along with those CTM dual flange tips, and they just fit snug and they're comfortable and they just disappear, and also they isolate outside noises like crazy. I feel like I'm yelling at the camera right now. There's probably about 75% of outside noises are blocked. It's just incredibly good isolating IEM when you use that dual flange tip. Overall, I like the build of them. They feel durable. They're not the most attractive things in the world, but you know what? Hey, when they're in your ears, does that really matter? How do they sound? That's what really matters. The Shuoer S12s, once I was able to get a good fit and a good seal and had comfort, I was able to focus on the sound, and I was amazed and just overly blessed at what the S12 provides. The S12 has a bass that is well controlled with good tone and timbre and authority without being domineering. The bass of the S12 is really, really good. It has nice texture to it. It has very good extension into the sub bass, and it has punch and slam and just overall just a presence about it that says, I'm in control, but I'm not here to be the boss. I'm here to just lead and to be present, and when I'm called upon, I'm going to come forth and do what I'm supposed to. It is a crazy good bass with exceptionally good tone and timbre, and the details and the way it's resolved is just amazing. I really, really like the bass of the S12. It is fantastic. The mids of the S12 are very similar to the bass in that they have presence to them. They have an authority about them, but yet they're not domineering. They're not in your face. They are well controlled, and they know when their job is called upon. They do it very well. They have exceptionally good tone and timbre, and they have really good details, and they're very well resolved. Excellent space, very good isolation and separation of instruments and vocalists, and everything just does its job properly, and it's very, very balanced and cohesive. There's not any peaks and valleys that aren't supposed to be there, and it has just the right amount of presence. Not too forward, not too back. It's just right where it should be on every track. The treble has very good elevation to it without being too elevated and going into unnatural mode, or being too recessed and being unnatural and dipped. It has just the right amount of energy, the right amount of sparkle, and it's just a very engaging treble that is well controlled and has a edge and a crispness to it without being too much. And again, just like the bass and the mids, it has authority and it has power, and it knows when it's called upon, and it performs when it needs to, and then lets the rest of the mix do its thing when it doesn't need to be there. It doesn't try to be the star of the show. Soundstage wise, the S12 has a great soundstage. It is wide when it needs to be, it's intimate when it needs to be, and it can be in between either one of those when it's called upon. No matter what size of venue it has, your imagination is left going, I think that's the way it sounds. I think that's the way that venue would be. And it doesn't always try to make things wide. It's not always cramming things and making things sound super intimate. The S12 does a really good job of portraying a natural and accurate soundstage. Depth and layering is really good on the S12. Things have different rows, and you can read into a stage and diagnose it and place things. It does a really good job with depth and layering. Things are on top of each other without being compressed and muddled up and jumbled together. Everything has proper spacing and very good separation. Imaging is very good. You have no gaps in between. Everything's just placed right where it should be, and you can track it from one side to the other. And you can also pinpoint it. You can go, okay, it's right there. That one is right over here. That one's up there. That one's down there. And you can really space things and place things. I really do enjoy the S12 a whole lot. One thing of note about the S12 is it is picky when it comes to sources. Now, it'll play on pretty much anything. Dongle-wise, had no problems powering it. But not all dongles sounded good, and not all dongles actually were very good for it. The periodic audio Rhodium was okay. It wasn't a bad sound, but at the same time, I knew that the S12 could do better. Next Drive Spectre X, same thing. I just knew that the S12 had a little bit more in it. Going off of DAPs, the Sony WM1A didn't sound very good single-ended. Put it on balance with the 4.4, and the S12 came alive. Using it on the A105, it was okay. It wasn't the greatest. Again, it was playable. It was listenable, but it wasn't that great. Where the S12 sounded fantastic was when I put it on desktop. And I really did enjoy it coming out of the Mytek Liberty and going into the Headamp GSX Mini. Now you're thinking, man, that's a lot of money in order to be playing $170 IEM. Yeah, it is. But it shows that the S12 scales with better gear. So if you're going to get the S12, do plan on having a fairly beefy sounding, beefy amplifier, and something that sounds good and pleasing. I find that the S12 really does like to be pushed a little bit, and it sounds fantastic on desktop setups. How's it compare to the Tin Hifi P1 Plus? Now the P1 Plus is another all planar IEM, and the P1 Plus is more linear with a treble shelf to it. And the P1 Plus definitely has more treble than the S12. The P1 Plus is a little bit more detailed and a little bit more resolving than the S12. But the problem with the P1 Plus is it has a very thin sound. It doesn't have the note weight and the naturalism that the S12 has. And it just kind of lacks body. And also, it's very much, here's all the details. Here you go. This is what you're getting. And it kind of force feeds it to you. It's a good analytical sounding IEM. Problem is it's not very pleasing to listen to on a regular basis. Then you have the 7 Hz Timeless, and the 7 Hz Timeless is a little bit more on the fun side. The 7 Hz Timeless has a little bit more oomph to it in the bass and a little bit more warmth in the mids and has a little bit more laid back treble. And I find that the 7 Hz Timeless is more of the I'm going to relax and listen to music and enjoy it. P1 Plus is I'm going to critique every single little bit of information in this track. And the S12 does both of those. The S12 is the all-arounder. It's not quite as refined in detail retrieval and resolution as the P1 Plus, and it's not quite as warm and thumpy as the 7 Hz Timeless. But I find that I enjoy the S12 the best. I find that it is the most accurate and true when it comes to tone and timbre, and that it has the proper soundstage and better imaging and detail than the other two. So I find that the S12 is the best sounding planar IEM that I've ever heard. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen, subscription links, notification bells, and all kinds of other good things. So check out the links down below. And don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video. And don't forget to check out all the links down below for how you can follow the channel, support the channel, and contact the channel. All kinds of other good things like gear recommendations and tier lists and all kinds of things are down below. So check out those links. And don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.